Good morning, good morning. I've had an excellent night's sleep, and I've had, well, not necessarily revelations, I don't think, but uh, basically confirmations of the things that I've been saying to myself. Uh, After a lot of math and a lot of thinking and a lot of doing, I believe that I more or less might be doing the right things, which is very exciting to me personally. I'm going to start taking life easier, and I'm going to start proving that life can become easier. And I believe that the core understanding of how we get there is from me tracing backwards how I got to the conclusion that the risk every teacher makes is becoming Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, that's going to be a weird sounding loop, and I don't know if you're going to be able to parse what I'm about to say, but the good news is you don't have to parse what I'm about to say. I have to be able to parse what I'm about to say. But I can parse myself with relative efficacy, comparatively speaking. So, perhaps we can have a comparative analysis of my subjective experience, and in so doing, we can find our own individual truths together. That is what I am hoping for. But I also just hope I'm not becoming Obi-Wan by becoming a teacher. So in this one, we're basically just trying to go. We're trying to allow ourselves to do the things that we were originally intending to do, which is continuing our plan, our plot, our path, as it were. And in so doing, I believe that this game becomes a reflection of the protagonist. But the question ends up being, who is the protagonist? Where does the word protagonist come from? Well, the pro part means good. And the tagonist part, I'm not entirely remembering off the top of my head where tagone is from in Latin. If I had to guess, which I basically do because I don't remember, Tagonia sounds like not agnosia. What's a comparative word that sounds like Tagonia or Tagonai or I'll Google it afterwards, and if it ends up becoming an issue that is necessary, I will translate what Tagonia should actually mean, or what word I am placing in the interim, but meaning when I am saying Tagonia. Again, this is assuming that you believe in my beliefs, and if you don't, that's fine. Maybe you can find something entertaining in here anyway, without believing what I believe. And if you can, I've done my job. From my perspective. My perspective isn't that I'm trying to be something I'm not. My perspective is that you can only ever be what you are, and that the best way to get to being who you are is to just do. The what you do doesn't matter. The how might matter, depending on your perspective, but the what you do does not really matter. At least I don't think so. And I'm trying to prove that. So here's the question. What is proof? Well, mathematically, a proof is literally just that. A mathematical proof has to be something that is logically sound. So, how do we get logical soundness from where we are? Well, what I just did. Did you see what I just did to get to where I am? You can take some time to understand what I just did. Alright, if you're not on the same page, let me explain it again. Well, first off, everything that I'm doing here is intentional. including the damage. It's meant to make a statement. Secondly, how do I know where to jump? Just by looking at this, it seems like it's all uniform, right? It looks like there's no differences. But I can use this side as a mirror to this side. And you can set anything opposed to itself to be able to find meaning. How do we do that? It's quite simple. You draw parallels between them. How do you define what a parallel is? That's also incredibly simple, even if you don't know math. How do you draw a parallel? The easiest way to draw a parallel is with a straight line. And the easiest straight line a human can ever take, perceptibly, from the way that we understand reality and the continuation of time. The best straight line a human can ever really make isn't a straight line. So now I'm going to get back there and explain it again. I will explain it up to 3 times if I feel it's necessary. I think 2 might be enough. And while we are getting back to the point, I believe that these sounds even have their own meaning. I believe that these sounds were placed here by the creator of the game because they helped him think at the time. And I feel like this ends up becoming an incredibly personal message if you look that closely at it. Because you can see things that the creator himself didn't even see of himself when he made the item, if you know where to look. So, I was saying, the way to measure a parallel, a straight line, the fastest and most efficient way humanly possible that I have found to measure a straight line is by making a parabola. Now, what is a parabola? So mathematically and scientifically, these are functionally different things, but they have incredibly similar properties. So, if you take a parabola, you can use that to tell a story. What did that story just tell? That story said, in this timeline I have fallen. But what does I have fallen mean? I have fallen doesn't mean I cannot get back up. I have fallen is similar to I have tripped. Now, not everyone can get up on their own. Not everyone knows where to go. Not everyone can surmise these data bits as easily as I can. And do you want to know how and why I know this? Well, it's quite simple. It took me years to get to the point of me understanding myself. And most people don't by default. You have to usually work very, 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 very hard to understand yourself. You could work for an infinity of time to understand yourself. I wouldn't necessarily advise it. I would usually suggest you settle for good enough. It tends to be an exercise in workaholic nature if you are trying endlessly, like literally endlessly, to improve yourself. But it's the catch-22 of you can never be who you are. So, 1, you will never improve. 2, you never need to improve. Right? So, what did I just do? I purposely made a mistake so that I could show you mistakes don't always kill you. Look at my health. I am half of the man that I used to be. What does that mean? It doesn't really mean anything. Do you want to know why? Because I can loop whenever I want. I have infinity in my hand right here. So I can go back to where I started. I can go back to 1 anytime. Even if I'm at -5. Even if I'm at 0. No matter where I am or when I am from your perspective. Since the win is always now for you, but for me, this is my now. But thanks to the power of technology, I can call back to my previous nows whenever I want, as long as the world stays reasonable. If the world ends up becoming unreasonable, well, I completely lose the things that I used to call my past. And the past becomes an illusion again, as opposed to a real thing that I can draw back to at any point. All right, now let me try and actually do this on purpose so that I don't lose the entire point of what the point that I've been trying to make. The point I've been trying to make is that your life is not yet written. You are actively the chaperone, the writer, the person who makes your own story. But the question ends up being, are you a good person? Or the question that you give yourself is, are you a good person? Well, are you? I think yes. I think by sheer process of being alive, you're a good person. But a lot of people tell you that you don't deserve life or the things that life entails. You're a good person. You cannot prove to me you are not a good person. You want to know why? Because I mathematically proved to myself that you are a good person. Yes, you, the person listening, including me. But by being that shallow and naive, we can base the rest of reality, from my perspective, moving forward, as positive. And let me prove to you, this is the difference between negativity and positivity. Oh, it's really scary. It's really scary. Proving positivity exists. It's really scary. And you can feel that too, can't you? You can feel the anxiety in these movements. You can feel the tension, the truth. The fact that I feel as if my character dies when I die and vice versa. I feel that I can externalize myself into anything that I do. But the problem is actually sitting down and looking at what and why and how I am doing, not just saying I do. And then the question is being, well, is the game worth it? Yes, it is. You want to know why? Because it's fun. And that's all you need. Purpose can just be fun. That number right there. That number to me is as good as infinity. The 7 in the upper left corner by the HP bar. I can't look at it. I can never fully access the infinity. But it's always with me. It's always right there. I can't touch it, but it can touch me. It can always act on me, even if I'm not acting on it. So how do we get to infinity? How do we grasp infinity? We don't have to, first off, because it does it to us. And secondly, we would grasp infinity by becoming infinite. And how do we become infinity? We have a good idea that we propagate. It has to be a good one, though. Or else you risk becoming Obi-Wan. You risk becoming a teacher. You risk telling people your truth is the right one. There is no right truth. There's never been a right truth. The truth has always been subjective to your perspective. And it sounds cool, right? It sounds like it matters. It sounds truthful because it rhymes. And literally, I can prove that most rhymes are true from at least 5 degrees of separation. Sometimes they are immediately true. Anyway, the point I've been trying to make this whole time, over the past 15 minutes, is the difference between a dream and reality is as simple as believing. The difference between those 2 past failed attempts and this one where I get my truth out and finally start to believe and finally say, I can do this. I'm making progress. There's something here. There's got to be something here. There's reality. There's truth. There's something physical. I can interact with this. This is the basic building block of life. It's not knowing. Knowing is something that you can do because you believe. And then people would say, well, by inverse law, that means that you have to know before you can believe. Again, that's perspective. And I can explain that later. Perspective is literally you, though, so it really doesn't matter, because you'll never lose your perspective as long as you're you. And you are you as long as you're alive, and you're as alive as, you're as alive as you want to be. I am currently risking my entire life on the absolute precipice. This is what anxiety feels like to me. You are constantly on the edge of saying, is that drop too high? Am I gonna die if I fall down there? Is there something waiting for me, trying to kill me? This is anxiety. This is how anxiety feels to me. And I can express it because I feel it. I don't know if anxiety is true for others in the same way that it is true for me, but I can state that this is how it feels to me. And then other people can say, yeah, that's what anxiety feels like. And if it feels that way to them, I can teach them to walk it back 3 steps individually each time they see it. And if they do that, they can have mastership over their anxiety. Mastership doesn't mean you kill the anxiety. Mastership means you ingratiate the anxiety into your persona and you become a stronger person together, because your anxiety is as much a part of you as the thing saying you shouldn't feel anxiety. You should feel anxiety because you're alive and you fear. You fear for your life, and you're not wrong for fearing for your life. You're, in fact, quite correct to fear for your life, because other people around you will always be jealous and try and take it from you. But that doesn't mean that they're bad people necessarily. We can get into that at a later time. I'm spending way too much time on belaboring this one point. But look how effortlessly I made that look. Do you want to know how much time, effort, patience, sweat, tears, blood, crying, giving up, and then realizing that giving up is the only way that you can say, I will never do this. And then realizing that as long as you're alive, you don't give up. You never give up. As long as you're alive, you are following your dreams, even if you don't want to. So the question is, what do you want? Why do you want? How do you get to where you want? And if you do not have these answers, you actually do have these answers. You just don't want to see them yet. And I don't blame you. I am not here to force people to look at themselves. I am here to say, you have options. You have options that you have not considered. You have options that can lead you wherever you want to go. I have options. You want to know why I have options? Because I've studied them. Everyone always has options. So in this situation, there are 3 options available for me. There are 3 paths. Can you see them? There's the path I came from, the neutral path, and the good path. This is true of everyone from every perspective that exists. There are always 3 paths. Sometimes the path forward is not the path forward that you want. This can become my path forward. But what does that mean? This can't become my path forward from my perspective. I know this because I have seen where this path goes. As the outside observer, you ask, what is around that corner? What mysteries are about to unfold? And how do I get this power? Or how do I see? Can this power be taught? Where do I go to learn this? And it's quite simple. you start examining yourself and you start looking up instead of down. If you look up instead of down, you will start seeing positive instead of negative. It's literally that simple. You see these values on the left side of the screen that are constantly counting up? That's time. You see those numbers to the left of the numbers that are counting up? It's basically you. You can go with time, or you can go against time. I'm currently going against time. Why? To prove to you that you don't die just because you want to speak your truth. I'm not dead. I have 7 HP. I'm close to death. We're all always close to death. I personally think that that's what makes this game such a lovely allegory, and why I am able to basically algorithmically pull the truth out of the situation. And I thank the producer of this game for making it so easy for everyone to see their truth so nakedly. All of this truth, all of these paths, all of these options, and the fact that you don't have to do anything any specific way. There are no real... The only bounding in this game is that you play it. You don't have to play it well. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to even enjoy the game. But trying the game is its own reward. Whether or not you actually do anything with the reward is up to you. What I have done with the reward is not what you're going to do with the reward. But what I'm doing with the reward is saying, here's what it is, and seeing if other people have the same opinion. So I'd like very much, very, very much, to hear other people's perspectives on this. Because every perspective matters. Do you want to know why your perspective matters? Because I said so. For now, that's what your truth will have to be until you are the one who can say why your opinion matters. You come tell me what your opinion matters, why your opinion matters, how your opinion matters, what you have to do to make your opinion matter, which of these pieces is meaningful to you. If you come to me and tell me which of these pieces has meaning, I can tell you how to find yourself in it. It doesn't matter which piece it is. Does not in the slightest matter which piece you decide to start with, so long as you decide. You decide, not me. You have to decide, because it's your choice, it's your life, and you are the one who needs to improve. And by you, I also mean me, but we're using the royal we here functionally in the way that I'm saying you. I always speak to myself as you because I feel that that is the easiest way to start appreciating yourself. That is my perspective, because I believe my perspective is flawed in that I used to prioritize. Sorry, let me be specific. I used to prioritize others over myself. And then I started realizing that I could use my anxiety to help myself. It's not just a curse. It's not just a problem. It's not just a part of me. It's not just anything. Anxiety is anxiety. You are you. Life is life. Love is love. Nothing has to be anything, but it is. And so we try and say that it has to have value. But a lot of people think that they're the 0, when really they're the 10. But a lot of people only see the 0 when they're number 1. Because all you can see is what's behind you. You think that the past is there. It's right there. It's right behind you. It's following you. It's always going to be there. But no, that's not what it's doing. It's not there to say, I am here to be a testament to your sins. What it is there is to say, I will always be here. I will always be here because you will always be here, and you need someone. Whether or not that someone is you right now, that's up to you. But until you come back to the point where you know who you are, I will be 0 so you can be my number 1. Now, I thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope that we can continue this journey together, and I hope that somebody can find something interesting here. I know I can, which means that I will be able to put this into ad infinitum. I will be able to play this game to its end because I enjoy it. And why do I enjoy it? Because it is an enjoyable game. No more, no less. It doesn't have to be anything it's not for it to be an enjoyable game to me. And why is that? Because I have allowed this game to become familiar. Thank you again. Thank you always. And remind yourself that thank you is coming from you. You are thanking you. You are worth it. You deserve it. Thank you. Have a great day.